Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Before we begin, I intend to take every one of my 50 minutes. So if there's anybody who don't want it, now's the time to go, because I'm having all my 50 minutes. Firstly, I want to thank Front and United. I did a training session with them recently in London. It was absolutely fantastic. They've asked me to come along today and talk to you about equality and diversity. First thing I want to ask you to do is to shut your laptops down, close your computers down. This is not the session that you're going to spend looking at your screens. I've attended a few sessions today and people are looking at their screens. Shut them down. What I'm going to do with you today is engage your brain, that wonderful thing you have in the top of your head. And I'm going to engage it and I'm going to challenge you. And we're going to look at this title, Understanding Equality, Diversity, Inclusion and Unconscious Bias in Our Minds, Services and Product Design. Also, I welcome all of those remotely. I'm rather hoping that there are colleagues from places like Africa that are watching, because this message is specifically for those bits of the world where equality and diversity is desperately needed, and a greater understanding is desperately needed. I'm also going to attempt to get a bit of interaction with you and not have a static session. I'd like to think that you have attended one of the right sessions today, albeit the place isn't packed, but I'm really, really, really pleased that you have attended, and I hope you get something from it. I attended a session earlier on, how to design an award-winning website. Need my glasses. How design an award-winning website. And it was a fantastic presentation. Do try and have a look at the video when it comes out. They won that award based on accessibility. Accessibility. Now, I'm not an IT person, but I use the net and I search a lot of websites. The key for me is accessibility. Websites have to be accessible, to the world. They've got to be accessible. And at the end of the day, what the judges said, that the accessibility of that site was at the heart as to why they gave it that particular award. So for me, it's all about accessibility. Can somebody who has a sight impairment access it? Can your website translate a click of a button into 60 different languages? Can your website deal with people who've got hearing impairments? Can your website automatically can you click a button and your website automatically go from written script to actually talking at you? How accessible is your stuff? Okay, let's do this. Let's rock and roll. There's a little bit about me, and it's not really important stuff. I've spent the last 30 years traveling the world trying to get people, wonderful job, trying to get people to think intelligently, to use this in a way that's effective. And I've had a wonderful time doing it. I work with police officers, lawyers, analysts, IT people, a host of different people, challenging their thinking, challenging why they think what they think. And what we're going to be looking at today is unconscious bias. Change, please. We're going to explore how to contribute to an inclusive workplace and world, and make better decisions by recognizing where unconscious bias exists and take steps to counter it. So recognize that everyone has unconscious biases. We all have them. Trevor has them. Everybody on the planet has them. You can't say you don't have an unconscious bias or you don't have them. You've all got them. We're programmed up to have them. So this is everybody. Nobody can step aside and say, well, actually, Trev, no, I haven't got any. But he has. No. We've all got them. Every one of you has unconscious biases. And I'm going to hope I get you in touch with them. For some of you, this will be interesting. It'll be enjoyable. For one or two of you, it might be uncomfortable. But you know what? That's what I do. And that's what it's about. If I want to get you to do higher thinking, maybe I've got to make you a little bit uncomfortable to engage with your intelligence. Your intelligence. Higher thinking. You see, discrimination, harassment, victimization, prejudice is lower thinking. I can't work it out. And that's what it's about for me. So I'm going to challenge you. You're IT people. You're intelligent. You're high thinkers, big IQs. But at the end of the day, do you harbor sexist, racist, homophobic connotations? Because if you do, I challenge your intelligence. And that's what it's about. to analyze and confront your biases, to avoid making quick decisions. Because a lot of the crap in the world today is based on people making quick decisions. You don't think it through. You don't analyze it. You don't break it down. You don't research it. You do fast thinking instead of slow thinking. And that's what I'm going to challenge with you today. To recognize that when we do not know information, the tendency is to fill in the gaps with predetermined biases, to think about what more information might be needed to make the best decisions. And that's what we're going to be looking at in a space of 50 minutes. Unconscious biases are learnt stereotypes that are automatic, unintentional, deeply ingrained, universal, and able to influence behavior. And my talk will aim to sensitively expose delegates to their unconscious biases, provide tools to adjust automatic patterns of thinking, and ultimately eliminate discriminatory behaviours. Unconscious bias is at the cutting edge of equality of opportunity. I've been doing equal ops inclusion stuff for about 30 years now. We now know why we discriminate. We now know why we think what we think, where we get these thoughts from, and why do they affect how we see each other and how we see the world. Importance of understanding unconscious bias. If someone has an unconscious bias, they are unaware of their preferences and think that they are acting objectively. Many different characteristics such as height, physical appearance, gender, ethnicity and age can be subject to unconscious bias. Unconscious bias affects multiple areas in the workplace, including the recruitment and promotion process, performance and assessment, tasks assigned to employees, product design and rollout, the culture of an organization. While often unnoticed, research has shown that unconscious bias is just as harmful, if not more damaging, than conscious bias. I am 6'4", agreed? I am 6'4", intelligent people, agreed? Whatever, I'm tall, agreed? Okay, I'm black, agreed? Say black. That weren't too bad. Normally, black. It's not a dirty word. Say black. I'm tall, agreed? Black. Man. Yeah? Doesn't define me. But that's what some people see. First thing they see is black. Man, tall. But that doesn't define me. And that's where I want to start with you. You see, if I can teach you nothing today, what I can teach you is this. You can't judge a book by the cover, and you can't put anybody in a box. I am Trevor, one Trevor, 7 billion people, Trevor, who happens to be black, happens to be tall, and happens to be a man, but it don't define me. And there's some of you up there sitting down saying, you're thinking, well, you know, he started to talk, and his colour didn't come into it. When he started to talk, when he walked in, I didn't think he, as a matter of fact, Trevor, when I see you, I don't see a black man. Well, what the hell do you see? You're supposed to see a black man, agreed? But it's not supposed to define me. Am I making sense? When I see you, I don't see a woman. What a load of crap. I'm supposed to see a woman, but it's not supposed to define her. Am I making sense? You see the wheelchair, that doesn't define them. That's what I'm trying to get across. Unconscious bias, it's natural, we all do it. Trevor does it. But the difference is when I do it, when my brain starts to do it, because millions of years of evolution has done something to humanity, when our brains start to do it, what I do is I check myself, I realize I'm doing it, and then I adjust my thinking. Am I making sense? That's what I do. I see a Jordanian pilot strapped to a bomb and then he's blown up by ISIS. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth, 2 seconds, those bloody Mus, and then I have to stop myself. Are you with me? Because unconscious bias is kicking in. All and every don't exist. Not all Muslims are terrorists. Agreed? And then I've got to check myself, pull back and say, Trev, this is just some, and I've worked a lot in the Middle East, these are just a few Muslims who are really bad people. Do not go and stereotype all Muslims because of the behavior of a small... Am I making sense? I pull myself back. We all do it. We all do it. We all do unconscious bias. And this is my challenge for you today. I haven't come here today to teach you how not to do it. I've come here today to teach you that when it happens to you, use this, gain some higher thinking, stop, reflect, think. Why do I think what I think? Where did I get that view from? Who put it in me? Why do I carry it? Because we are an intelligent species. Agreed? Agreed? You see, we're species, not species. Yes? The difference between me and him is 0.003%. It's called melanin. Am I making sense? But yet this color has defined my life and his color has defined his life, because what do? We make culture and language and race and all this stuff. We're different. We're different. No, we're not. Sperm does not leave a black man, go into a white ovary and say, nah, I ain't going in there. It makes a baby. Agreed? Species, not species. So why do we think like we're separate? I don't get it. I can't work it out. I really, really can't. Let me tell you what I've learned. Intelligence is where you find it. Agreed? And a dickhead, excuse the expression, is where you find it. Am I making sense? That's what I've learned. Yes? And intelligent people come in every size, shape, color, gender, sexual orientation. And so do dickheads. What is unconscious bias? Implicit or unconscious bias happens by our brains making incredibly quick judgments and assessments of people and situations without us realizing and ensuring that we have factual information. Our biases are influenced by our background, cultural environment, and personal experiences. We may not even be aware of these views and opinions or be aware of their full impact and implications. There is affinity bias, identification of a connection. You've got to forgive me. I've got a nasty cold. I've been fighting it, and I'm sucking a throat sweet to help me get through the session. Affinity bias, identification of a connection with another person, such as you ignore their negative traits and focus on the faults of those with whom you have no connection. Yes, a classic is football. Go to the football match. We're all standing on the terrace. Agreed? I've got my red shirt on. This gentleman here's got a red shirt on. This one here's got a red shirt on, and we all get along. Yes? Yeah? This one's a drug dealer, yeah? This one beats his wife, but as long as we're in this stadium in these red shirts, we've all got something in common. Am I making sense? But I don't know them. But I do know they're part of my in-group for that moment in time. In-group, the tendency for people to give preferential treatment to others they perceive to be members of their own group. The comfort zone. Yes, I belong to X group, and I belong to Y group, and I belong to, I'm a front ender. Stereotyping, expecting a member of a group to possess certain traits without having factual information about members of that group. Stereotyping, stereotypes. Confirmation bias, the tendency to favor stereotypic information that confirms previously existing beliefs or biases. Affinity bias, in-group bias, stereotyping, confirmation bias. If we understand unconscious bias, what does it mean? Equality, celebrate fairness, not same or preferential treatment. I don't want you to treat me the same. I want you to treat me as an individual. Do you understand the difference? Yes? It says, I am an individual. Stereotypes. 6'4", tall and black. Agreed? Agreed? God. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep having a go. 6'4", no, tall, black, man. Stereotypes. What's my favorite food? That's correct. That's all black people eat, chicken. Don't treat me, no I don't. I eat pizza, yes, I like an Indian, no I do. Stereotype me. Not the same or preferential treatment, equal, fair, individual, diversity celebrates difference, recognition and celebration of differences, appreciation of a broad range of different people, inclusion, the product of getting E&D right. You see, a lot of us are doing equality, a lot of us are doing diversity, but we're not doing inclusion. And that's what we've got to start doing. Your front enders, your web designers, you influence on the world. You've got to include everybody in the work that you do, everybody. Can't tell you how the sort of difference that you can make on the world. Making adaptations for parity, reducing barriers, no exclusion or discrimination, a strong, genuine sense of belonging. I've got some videos that I want to show you because I've got a short period of time and the videos can say in a couple of minutes what Trevor would probably take an hour to say. So I'm going to show you the first video now. Hope you like it. As I said, I'm hoping there are some people watching from particularly the African subcontinent. I work with a lot of black people and they come up to me and they say, Trev, you travel around the world, mate. You tell them how bad racism is. You tell them it's horrible. You tell them that, you know, black people suffer racism and it's awful and it's terrible. And do everything you can. Tell them the world's got to stop doing racism. Agreed? And then my next question to that room full of black people is this. So what should we do about people who are lesbian and gay? And guess what the answer is? Hang them, Trev. Kill them. Burn them. Am I making sense? See, there's a word for it. It's called hypocrisy. Don't look for somebody to treat you equally and to not discriminate against you if in the next breath you are going to discriminate against someone. Am I making sense? And I want to get that message across because that's what a lot of people do. They want equality, but they're not going to give it. And I want to get that message. If I get nothing across today, I want to get that message across. Don't expect racial equality if you're not going to give equality in terms of sexuality. Don't expect equality in terms of gender if you're not going to give equality to people who are disabled. There is no hierarchy of inequality. Racism is not less than or better than sexism, is not better than or less than homophobia, is not better than or less than. And if you're ranking it in your brain, you are wrong. There is no hierarchy of inequality. Ask the people on the receiving end of it. And I just want to get that message across. What do I like or celebrate about my own identity, diversity, or difference? And I can see some of your faces, you're challenged. It's good. I'm glad I'm challenging you. See, don't talk to me about intelligence. Don't talk to me about IQ if in the next breath you discriminate. If you are an intelligent, sanctioned human being, how could you discriminate? What is the basis for your discrimination? Your opinions? Or is it factual? That's my challenge for you today. Opinions or factual? What do I like or celebrate about my own identity, diversity, or difference? Just some questions to ask yourself. What do I like about, or how do I contribute to the workplace in relation to equality, diversity, and inclusion? What do I avoid talking about in relation to equality, diversity, and inclusion? How do I want to be different as a team member or leader or a human being following this particular session? The waterline of visibility, skin color, race, gender, age. You can see all of that. Nationality, physical ability, bits of those, but it's about all that other stuff that you can't see. You can't judge a book by the cover. The only way you're going to get to know Trevor is you've got to have a conversation with me. You've got to talk to me. You've got to open the book and we've got to have a conversation. Isn't it amazing how somebody who cannot see, somebody who is blind, has to judge you off of what they hear, your personality, and the vibe that they pick up? They can't judge you off the color of your skin. They can't judge you off your height. They can't judge you off of anything that they see. And sometimes I wish I could just make the whole world blind for a week and then see what kind of judgments we come up with. Back in the day, I used to do a training session with my friend Wakash. He's blind. We used to do disability awareness. And one of the sessions we did is we got a room and we'd black it out. And then we put Wakash in the room and he'd go around the room with all of these people who can see, who can't see because they're in a dark room, and he'd slap them around the back of the head and pinch them. And let me tell you, after half an hour of that, they got the message. Oh, be good. I haven't got the time for you to not be good. Sod's law, innit? Okay. Behavior. This is how your brain works. Talking about your brain, the neurologists, we mapped the human genome. We've also mapped now how your brain works. It's taken a long time, but we've now mapped how your brain works. So we know how you think. Neurologists know now how we think and how we develop some of the very negative views that we have. Attitude, your personal feelings, beliefs, what you believe is right or wrong. Values. From the age of 0 to 7, you imprint. All you do is learn. You imprint, you imprint, you imprint, you imprint. That's why a child who works with a military family can travel to 6 or 7 different locations, and by the age of 8, they are fluent in 3 or 4 languages. It is because all your brain does from 0 to 7 is imprint, 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 imprint. Every one of you has a TV ad, a jingle that you learned when you were young that has been imprinted in your brain. For me in England, it was 1 million housewives every day pick up a tin of beans and say, beans means Heinz. Yes? No, you've all got one because you imprint. When you're young, they learn it in a minute, and that's what happens. Beliefs, 0 to 7 imprint. 8 to 14, you start to model what you've imprinted. From 15 to 22 years, you start to socialize, and you imprint, your modeling leads on to your socialization. Unconscious bias, phenomenal thing. I must share with you, my granddaughter was talking to my fiance last week, and a classic case of unconscious bias. She was in the kitchen, they were baking, and my fiance, lovely, she was baking with my granddaughter, keeping her happy. And she turned around and she said to my granddaughter, your granddad is a superman. And she looked up from making all the mess she was making in her apron. She looked up and she said, Auntie Karine, my granddad can't be a superman. He's white. No, I jest you're not. So I've heard it. I've gone in the kitchen. I said, well, what did you say, sweetheart? You can't be Superman, granddad, because you're white. She's 6. And her view of the word super and man is white person. Am I making sense? And then I tried to talk to her to get her to understand, no. What she meant was I'm a super, but she wouldn't get it. She just wouldn't, and I left it alone because I figured when she's a bit older, then she'll understand what she meant by your granddad's a super. But I just want to show you a classic case of imprinting. So Superman's got to be white. Just wanted to share that with you. Thoughts, what we think. Behavior, what we do. Emotions, what we feel. Some of us have grown up in locations where we haven't mixed, we haven't associated. We become quite insular in what we feel and know. And the challenge is to step outside of that. And I hope that some of you are going to do that. The brain, this wonderful thing called the brain. As I've said, I meet a lot of intelligent people who discriminate, and I just can't reconcile it. Why? Why do you do it? What is it about? Do you feel comfortable doing it? Is it nice feeling better than somebody else? What's the kick people get out of feeling better than other people? I can't work it out because these are intelligent people, yet they're better than. The brain. Neural pathways, wiring that creates habits. A neural pathway that serves to connect relatively distant areas of the brain or nervous system is a bundle of neurons known collectively as white matter. Daniel Kahneman, a psychologist and Nobel laureate, economic sciences, expert on the psychology of judgment and decision making. Our brain has 2 systems. Is your heart currently beating? Yes? Front enders. Is your heart currently beating? Because I'm questioning it. Is your heart currently beating, front enders? Fantastic. Yeah? Are you actually sitting there thinking, heartbeat, eyes, hair grow, lungs work? Are you? No, because there is a part of your brain that is bigger than you, it's more intelligent than you, it will keep all of that function going. Are you with me? It's called your unconscious. Thank God for it, or you'd be dead. And some of you at the back, we won't go there. Let's move on. Psychology. So you've got to accept there's a part of your brain doing stuff that you're not even thinking about. It's bigger than you. It's more powerful than you. And that's called your subconscious. And it is massively powerful. But believe it or not, there's a lot of very negative stuff in that subconscious as well. And it tends to come out when you're making decisions. You've got a fast system of thinking, operates automatically and quickly with little or no effort and sense of voluntary control. Then you've got a slow system of thinking, allocates attention to effortful mental activities that demand it, including complex calculations. The operation of a system, this system is associated with a subjective experience of agency, choice, and concentration. This is a classic experiment. When you're walking, and if I say to you 2 plus 2, what's the answer? And I'm walking, what's 4 plus 4? And you can walk and do that. But let me tell you what you can't walk and do. Yeah? 2 plus 2 divided by 7, multiplied by 14, divided by 6. Do you know what? You can't walk and calculate that because your brain can't do the walking, which is subconscious, and do that calculation. So what happens is you got to stop. No, you do. That's why you do exams sitting still. Am I making sense? This is absolute logic. You can't calculate 2 divided by, subjected to, and you can't. Because your brain's going to say, stop. I need that what I'm putting into you walking, which again is a subconscious exercise, to actually do this. It's how your brains work. Sorry. System 1, fast, intuitive, automatic, no sense of control, little or no effort, unconscious mental shortcuts. System 2, requires attention, needs effort, analytical, more controllable, and is conscious. It's how your brains work. Stereotypes. The Irish are thick, yet they get more degrees than anybody else. Women can't be engineers, yet they pass more degrees than men. Stereotypes. Little or no effort, just rolls out. Which line's longer? Common sense tells you which line's longer. However, they're both the same. However, your brain wants to tell you that A is longer just by virtue of the arrow sticking out that makes the whole thing longer. Am I making sense? See, I'm going to challenge your brain now. That's what I'm doing. This is brain. How your brain works. What do you see? Okay, are you all looking at this? Okay, hands up if it's moving. Hands up. Okay, put your hands down. Okay, it's not moving. Yeah? What I want you to do is this. Focus on it for 30 seconds. Put all your energy into it. Yes? What that says to me is you're tired. Focus. Seriously, put your hands up. It's moving. Put them up. Hands up if it's moving. Look at it, and when it stops moving, put your hand down. Focus on it. Empty your brain and everything. It will stop moving. There you go. Hands are coming down. That's how your brain works. It lied to you because you're tired. I get up some mornings, I look at it, and it ain't moving. I get up other mornings, and I look at it, and it's moving. And I go and get a cup of coffee. That's how your brain works. It lies to you. That black man's going to steal my purse. It's a lie. No, I'm not. I might have on a hoodie and a tracksuit. Yes? But don't judge a book by the... How many triangles are there? Come on, you intelligent analyst salt people. Come on, how many? How many are there? You see, this is it. I always get this. No, okay? Just because the scientists have told me, just because there are 2 sides and there's 1 side open, it's still a triangle. How many triangles are there? 6, how many? 5, how many? Okay, there are 12. You're going to get the PowerPoint. Have a look at it. You'll find 12. There are 12. You see our brains? We don't want to do the slow, calculated, analytical. Oh, 6, 4. This is my favorite. Okay, the person you're sitting next to, you're going to tell the answer to. You got 10 seconds to do this. Yes? A bat and a ball costs £1 10 pence. If the bat costs £1 more than the ball, how much does the ball cost? Go for it. Tell the person next to you the answer. A bat and a ball costs £1 10 pence. If the bat costs £1 more than the ball, how much does the ball cost? This is the classic unbiased question. And please play. Do play. Have a play. Okay, hands up, 10 pence. Okay, thank you, fantastic. Hands up, 5 pence. Okay, there are more 10 pences than 5 pences. The answer is 5 pence. Yes, 10 pences. The key to this is more. The word more. I'm not going to go through it now with you. I'm going to show you a video. But all I'm trying to get across here is, we can sit there saying, well, we're intelligent, we're educated, we got really good brains going on. But are we, and have we? Where are we really in our thinking? And that's all this is about. Just trying to get you to understand. Where are we in our thinking? I hope you enjoy the next video. I think what was said at the end for me sums it up. We can't cure it, but with self-awareness, it's all about each of us taking responsibility for it, taking responsibility for how we think. And I think if more of us were encouraged to do that, I think humanity would be in a better place. Take responsibility for how you think, not for how the person next to you thinks, or how a few of your friends think, but how you think. And that sums it up for me. Confirmation bias, being selective when searching for information, interpreting information, recalling, remembering and recalling information. A classic example of confirmation bias, Donald Trump. He's building a wall to keep Mexicans out. Based on what? They commit more crimes than white Americans? What's the answer to that? No. They rape more? Yeah, he's a dickhead. I'd agree with that. They rape more? No, this is serious. They rape more? What is the correct answer to that? No. Are you with me? There is nothing that Mexicans do more or in greater numbers than white Americans. But he's very selective with where he finds his information. Interpreting information and recalling. We prefer information which confirms what we know and believe and are more likely to overlook information which challenges or contradicts. You notice and remember information in keeping with your original judgment. You meet someone and unconsciously judge them. You don't notice or remember information which contradicts your original judgment of them. Confirmation bias. Affinity bias, you're in groups and you're out groups. I'm not going to go into much detail. As I said, front end will have this presentation. You're more than welcome to it. They will have it at the end. You're in groups who you think about, you're out groups. You use a different neural mechanism. Very, very quickly. Lie detectors. A lie detector, they had a lie detector that measures your heartbeat. It's 99% effective. 1 in every 100 can beat that lie detector. They now have a new lie detector. They put a thing on your head. It's like a cage. And they put it on your head and it is 100% effective. You see, you have neuro pathways and you have an I like pathway and you have an I don't like pathway. And they stick this on your head. They do the experiment. They stick it on your head and then they ask you 15 questions. And they say, what kind of food do you like? And you say, I like pizza. And your I like pathway lights up. And then they say, what kind of music do you like? And your I like pathway lights up. And they ask you 15 questions and your I like pathway lights up. And then they ask you 15 questions about what you don't like. And you say, oh no, I don't like Marmite. And your 15 I don't like pathways light up. But this is where it gets controversial. They then turn around and say, what do you think about lesbian and gay people? And most people say, I ain't got a problem with them. Guess what pathway lights up? I don't like. Folks, you got a subconscious. You can lie to yourself. But you can't lie to your sub. I'm just sharing with you. So you can, yeah, but what do you think of black people? Oh, I like black people. The I don't like lights up. Just sharing with you. In group, out group. We use a different neural mechanism to think about people that we don't like than we do when we think about people that we do like. And we can now map that. Which is why we're beginning to understand what discrimination and harassment and prejudice is really about. It's about how we think. In-group and out-group biases, factors or influences might be physical characteristics, age, gender, race, disability, shared interests, hobbies, music, lifestyles, similar backgrounds. In-groups and out-group biases. We have natural tendencies to prefer our in-group, and we have natural tendencies to not prefer people in our out-group. The potential for unconscious bias is higher when you're under pressure, you've got a high cognitive load, you're tired, you need to reach closure, low perceived self-efficacy on task. I would argue that the work that you do, front-enders, timescales, high-end, you sometimes fit into this category. There is more of a tendency for you, your brains to want to do that's why I was surprised at the amount of you who saw that picture moving. The different colours. It said a lot about the sort of work that you do and the intensity of the work that you do. But do remember, when you're under pressure, we tend to do unconscious bias more. What can we do about it, about our unconscious bias? Accept that we're all biased. Decide what we will do about it individually. All I'm going to say is this. Anybody that gets in front of me with an unconscious bias, I'm going to embarrass you. You see, it's very easy to embarrass somebody who's running on opinion. Very, very easy. Yes? Because I will get the facts and then I will make you look stupid. I hope I'm making sense. In 20 years, I've never embarrassed anybody deliberately. What I find out is people do that all by themselves. Facts, folks. Facts. All blondes are not dumb. Facts. Break the link in your process and reduce your levels of bias. Ensure policies and processes are designed to mitigate the impact of biases where possible. Challenge stereotypes and counter stereotypical information, using context to explain the situation. Changing perception and relationships without group members, being an active bystander. Thank you. Just got me 5 minutes. So, habit breaking strategies, again, you can read through. A definition of strength. Very, very quickly. Most of us think about strength in the physical sense. Yes? I can't multitask. Men in the room, how many of you can multitask? Yeah, no hands gone up. Women in the room? Are you with me? To me, strength is in your brain. It's not in your muscles. Am I making sense? That's where strength is. In the mind. And I would argue, and I know some of you afterwards are going to come up to me and say, you know what, Trevor, you're wrong. I'd argue women are stronger than men. Yes, I would, because they can multitask. No, they can't. Okay. That's been researched, no problem. I'm absolutely convinced, well, I can't, and I watch all my daughters and all the women around me do it very, very well. Strength is a pre-existing capacity for a particular way of behaving, thinking, or feeling that enables optimum functioning or performance and is authentic and energizing to the user. We looked at domestic violence. 6% of domestic violence is what women do to men. Yeah, stereotype. Women don't do domestic violence, do they? Yes, they do. When we looked at some of the women who were doing domestic violence, their partner was physically stronger than them. Yes? But guess what that woman had over that man? Are you with me? How many of you have met somebody and this is what drives them? This, not this. Sigelman, focus on what is right with people rather than what is wrong with them. That's positive psychology. That's a positive strength. This is my last video. Hope you enjoy it. Afterwards, I'm just going to recap. It'll take me a minute. And then essentially we'll be done. I do like this video. It's a nice way to end the session. I hope you will enjoy it. You can now turn your computers on, and I want you to go to www.gatwickairport.com. When you look at that website, across the top of it, you will see a bar. It's an accessibility bar. I've not got time to take you through it. It is fantastic. It is a company called Recite. And a lot of major organizations around the world are now using that bar. That bar can translate their website into 60 different languages at one click. So for those of you who are now opening it up, at the top of the page, you will see the Recite bar. Over the next few days, have you found it? Found it? Yep. Over the next few days, play with it. It is fantastic. And what I would argue is if you are selling your clients an inclusive site, if it is not fully inclusive in terms of accessibility, then I would argue it's not the greatest of sites. Okay, please do play with that. I just want to end up by saying, and I've got my 2 minutes to say this, is this. If you limit yourself only to people who think and act exactly like you will never reach your full potential. Instead of looking for someone who conforms to your opinions, you need someone who loves you enough to challenge your opinions from time to time. That's what I've had, good friends around me. Lesbian and gay friends, disabled friends, white friends, friends from all over the world, Muslim friends. It is estimated that even if you had the genius of Einstein, you still know less than 1% of all there is to know. Ego. How big is your ego? See, ego fuels a lot of discrimination. And if you were mega talented, you'd only achieve less than 1% of what can be achieved. Just want to put yourself in context. Yes, we need harmony, but there's a difference between harmony, which is delivered from two or more distinctly different notes that blend together, and unison. There is harmony and there is unison. The same note made, unison, the same note made at the same time. Harmony is far more appealing to the ear than unison. So your relationships should be harmonious without being in unison. I don't have to like you to work with you. I don't have to like you to agree with you. I'm bigger than that. I think higher than that. I am intelligent. Intelligent. But don't you dare tell me you're intelligent and you discriminate. Because the two do not go together. That's an oxymoron. An intelligent discriminator. Think about it. You are uniquely different from anyone else. There's only one of you. So if you want others to love and accept you, start loving and accepting them. The greatest wisdom is found in diversity, not conformity. Thank you for listening.
Thank you ever so much. Really powerful stuff that actually moved me to tears a little bit. The adverts, the first one that you showed, which was what was? Do you know what I'm?
Denmark, yeah.
I was a little welling up there. Really, really powerful. We are running over, and it is break time. So if you do want to go and just break out and go and get a coffee, then please do. But we do have some questions, if you don't mind answering.
I've got no problem. Yeah.
Answering those. Okay, we have a few from Slido, and keep them coming for a bit. I think we've got time for a few. Right, this one. How do you effectively fight unconscious bias against the backdrop of increasing misinformation?
By directing people to research, to look at the facts, to continue to research and continue to research. There's a lot of stuff out there that isn't true. And if you research it long enough, you'll find out what isn't true. There's stuff on WikiLeaks that is true. There's stuff on WikiLeaks that isn't true. I don't like the term fake news because I don't like the person who originated the term. So I don't like using the term. But at the end of the day, folks, there's a world out there full of science fiction and there's a world out there full of science fact. And all I say to people is just keep searching and researching. Don't listen to any one source. Don't believe any one source. There are many sources. I watch 7 news channels, from Al Jazeera to RT to BBC, to make sure that I'm getting what I consider to be a rounded view. I don't want anybody to pull any wool over my eyes. And that's the best way I can answer that question. It takes time. It takes time to research. It takes time to look stuff up. I'm a hive of trivia. I'm very good at winning pub quizzes. But that's what it's about, folks. Either you're going to do it or you're not. Either you're going to break down the stereotypes and actually do the research and say to people, actually you're wrong. With humility and love, you are wrong. And educate people. Educate people.
So another one on the Slido. How can we use the fact that we have an unconscious bias in our daily lives as web designers and developers?
Okay, well, number one, you can develop your sites for accessibility, which is why I asked you to visit the Heathrow site. Yeah. And actually, I'll cut straight to the chase. This is the business model. Another company has developed that bar that you see at the top of the Gatwick Airport website. They sell it. I have friends of mine who are web designers, and they now sell it on to their clients and make a profit on it. Yes? You don't have to design it. Am I making sense? It's called good business sense. And if your clients are serious about websites that are going out to millions and millions of people, which is what the Gatwick website does, then it's a no-brainer to pay a bit of money to add that software into it. Make your sites accessible, and check yourself for any unconscious bias in the designing of a lot of sites that you do. I've seen some stuff today, some presentations today with tiny elements of unconscious biasing. I've seen some that have said him. So you've just got to check yourself for those little bits of unconscious bias in your own thinking processes when you're designing what you design.
I have a question, actually, and I need to make sure I put this correctly. At the beginning, you said that once you realise you're unconsciously being biased, you check yourself.
Yeah.
How do you recognise or know the difference between an unconscious bias or when it's a useful learned behaviour of self-protection? Right.
That's the challenge. And that's a challenge for you. You can continue to think the way you think, or you can go away and ask yourself why you thought the thought that you thought. No, that's all it is. That's what I do. Why did I think that? Trev, where did that come from? Trev, what was that about? I question myself. I do intelligence. Intelligence. That's what I do. I question myself, and I stop and I reflect and I think and ask myself, where did that come from? Because I do it. I absolutely do it. I'm not going to stand here now and say I don't have unconscious biases. I do. But the difference between me and most other people is when I realize it's happening, I begin to pull back and I check myself. And I say, Trev, where did that come from? What's that about? Is that true? Are you being ignorant? The word means you've missed something, you've ignored something, so you tend to rant. Ignore. That's what I do. I just check myself, and that's what I'd ask you all to do. As I've said, there is no cure, but unless you recognise that what you're saying and what you do, and possibly what you're doing is discriminatory and isn't based on any sound scientific fact, then you are discriminating. As I've already said, black people are no different to white people. We're not any less intelligent than. Disabled people are not, in the main, who don't have mental health issues, are not any less intelligent than the able-bodied. Women are not less intelligent than men. It's all crap. And either you're big enough to realise it's all crap, or you can wallow around in your ego, feeling good about other people. Muslims are not better than Christians. Christians are not better than Muslims. It's just all crap. All we have is people. People are people, good and bad. They come in every shape and colour. And that's what I've learned in 30 years.
Wise words. We've got a final question, slightly more light-hearted. Some of us are a bit confused whether it's a single F or a double F in French.
Right. Okay. No worries. Bit of history. It's a double F. Well, the reason it's a double F, I said earlier when I got a fiance and a granddaughter. Unfortunately, I was married for 31 years. When I set my company up, I'm 60 now. When I set my company up 31 years ago, my wife was my company partner. Her surname was French. So I'm Gordon, she was French. French with 2 Fs. Unfortunately, my wife passed away. But I decided to keep the French in the company title to honour my wife. Hence, I've got a new fiance now. I've been lucky enough to have a second crack at the whip. But French is the Scottish spelling of French. During slavery, I'm the product of. I come from the Caribbean, so I'm the product of slavery. I am the world. I have everything in me. And French is the Scottish spelling of French. The French got into bed, or rather, the French got into bed with the Scottish to defeat the English. And some of the Scottish took on the name French, and they spelt it with 2 Fs. If you notice, the flag of Jamaica is the same as the flag of Scotland. Give you a little bit of history. It's only a different colour. Most of the overseers during slavery were Scottish and Irish, because the English, the landowners, were not about to go to the Caribbean and look after slaves, because life expectancy was 8 years. So who did they send? The Scottish and the Irish. And that's why most Caribbeans have Scottish surnames. I am a Gordon, and my deceased wife was a French. If you want to access my website, you've got to do it with 1 F. But apart from that, that's the history of the 2 Fs. Thank you.
Oh, well, very, very interesting. Wow, that was great. Really different as well. Something really different from what we've heard all day and what we'll hear tomorrow as well. And really useful. I think we'll, better ourselves slightly through this talk. Thank you so much. It was really, really good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.